What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Ratchet and Clank HD. So, we're moving on to the second to last level in the game. We're moving on to Drek's fleet, and we're going to intercept them as best we can, provided we have what's obviously a stealth ship. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to pull this off, I don't think. So we just kind of safely land in one of his ships with no resistance, despite the entire fleet of starfighters out there. We just land in here with no problem. And like I said, I'm assuming that's just because this fighter is designed for stealth, so... This is one of my favorite levels in the game, actually, for many reasons, which I'll be going into. So, I just kind of want to show off the scenery here. So this ship is actually towing the planet that... yeah, it's towing an entire planet, the planet that Drek is building. It's towing it basically with the tracker beams there. So it's pretty interesting, the technology that's going on here. It's a lot of very subtle details that the game doesn't really throw in your face. You just kind of have to look for yourself, and... I just eat that stuff up because it's sci-fi, and I just tend to do that. So the first section here is going to be another hydro pack sequence, just like we had back on Quartu, but this one's a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit more challenging. So we're going to be using the hydro pack to get through another obstacle course here that's underwater, obviously, and we have another time limit to not get electrocuted to death. And we're going to get another optional item for that. We do kind of have to complete this in order to get through, but... it just unlocks another gold bolt back on Core 2 that we missed, so we're going to be going back to get that when we get through here. There's these giant electrical blade things in the way, which are actually not that difficult to dodge because they are transparent and you can see through to the other side, and pretty decent gap on dodging them here. These enemies right here are called spider bots, if I didn't say so before, and we'll be seeing a lot more of them in the second game, trust me. Finally took a hit there. I'm doing actually much better than I did in the previous run through here where I was taking a hit left and right. And I say that and I start taking more damage. Yeah, this is kind of this is the game just trying to squeeze in one more of these sequences before the end. I don't know why they didn't do more of these or why they tried to rush them all at the last minute if they wanted to include them at all, but you know, the hydro pack is optional and so are the rewards for these little side quests here, but I think it's worth it. A lot of bolts over here, and again, the water just automatically gets electrocuted again as soon as we exit. Alright, so we got the code bot. The code bot, like I said, is used for a very specific purpose that we're going to go use it for now. So there we get a good view of the back of the ship here. This is the largest ship in Drek's fleet, but it's not it's not his flagship, apparently. We'll be getting to that soon enough. Yeah, we've not really encountered any resistance. No enemies, no Blarg personnel. You'd think this ship would require like hundreds or thousands of crew to manage it, but there doesn't seem to be anybody here, so maybe it's just automated, or maybe they're parked and nobody's here right now, except for in the critical areas, and it's nice of the game to just give us a non-combat area for a change. So this is going to take us back to the start of the level. You get a view of just how large this ship is. It's got some turrets on the back there. Luckily they don't recognize us as a threat right now. What I want to know is, how are we able to leave and come back if those turrets are there, if it's important for destroying them to be able to get to Veldin? I don't know. Alright, so we're going to sneak out of Drek's flagship here, or Drek's fleet rather, and go fly back to Quartu for a minute. Alright, so you remember that one area that I said we couldn't get to back where we turned into Giant Clank? Well, now we can get in there now that we have the code bot. I usually forget that that's where we get the item that unlocks that, and then I find the code bot and I'm like, what the heck is this used for again? And then I instantly remember. It's one of those cryptic, vague things that the game doesn't really outright say. It doesn't say, hey, you need a code bot to get in here, but it's one of those sort of classic RPG type element things where you know that you can't get into an area without a certain item, and then you know what the item is, but the game doesn't give you any clues as to where to get it, and then when you stumble upon it, it's like, oh hey, I can get back into that area from much earlier in the game. This game does that fairly well with a lot of the secret areas, you know, being able to use new gadgets like the Hydro Pack to access different areas. It's almost kind of the way that, you know, Zelda or Metroid games do it, where it's like, hey, you have this new ability, that means you can access, you know, 10 different little side areas that you didn't have access to earlier in the game, and just get little bonuses and little extra rooms that require a certain power to unlock that you couldn't do before. This room also has a crap ton of vault crates in it, so I'm going to break them all open with the Taunter if I can. The Taunter's hit cone seems to be a little off, though. It doesn't seem to be breaking all the boxes like I think it should. Alright, so we got the gold bolt for that, and that's all we can do here. So we're finally done with Core 2. We can head back to Drek's Fleet. This is a minor little distraction, but I figured it'd be worth showing on screen. I could have just said, hey, remember where I said we couldn't get in there before? We can get in there now, so go do it. But, you know, whatever. Well, guys, I'm actually pretty happy this Let's Play is coming to a close. I've really enjoyed this, and I'm glad I finally was able to give the first game some justice like I wanted to. But this has definitely been a long and not really tedious process, but it's been going on for quite a long time now, and it's been getting up to be pretty high in the video count there, which I didn't expect. I expected it to be much shorter than this, but we're pretty much running on schedule for the most part. I'm just glad I was able to finish this before the remake comes out. Alright, so let's continue with what we were doing here. So, like I said, I guess that whole underwater area is optional, and actually if you didn't have the Hydro Pack, or if you just didn't bother to dive in the water there, you probably would miss it altogether. One thing that's interesting about all these ships is they're all tied together with these teleporters, which would make servicing them and making the personnel safe if one of the ships was in critical condition much easier. It makes you think they wish they had that in Star Trek. All the ships would just teleport to each other as opposed to, you know, having to do all those complicated lock-ons and crap like that, and, you know. So there's going to be more sentry robots in this area, and much like in the previous level, we have to use the Hollow Guys to get past them. The Hollow Guys was sort of the training for it in the previous level. So I may actually want to put the Hollow Guys on my quick select. That would be nice. You can tell when your antenna turn back to green that they're about to lose their high alert status, but sometimes you can, if the alarm is still going and your antennas turn green, if you walk back into the area, you'll find the enemy still is aggroed, and it will just change your situation there. So we got rid of that guy. These guys, there's some Robomut 2.0s here, which is a new enemy type, and we can actually destroy them with the Taunter, I believe, by luring them into this laser. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. They do not work the same way that the Sentry Robots do. They work pretty much the same way that regular Robomuts did in Metropolis. And the Hollow Guys does not fool them, which is strange, considering it's meant to fool robots, but, you know, it's basically just putting us in a silly costume, so what can I say about that? Pretty much all these things on the wall here are breakable. If I didn't say so before, we're in the Missile Cruiser now, and I don't really care for the inside of the aesthetic of most of these ships, but on a conceptual level, they're pretty cool. I mean, it all kind of has that same cartoony art style, though. Alright, now we're going to the Dreadnought. And right here, there's going to be a sentry bot in each one of these sets of doors, and they're going to be walking in a pattern. We can actually wave to them and interrupt the pattern, but I don't want to do that. I want to be going through here on course, so I have the, for some reason, I'm not able to change my weapon. I missed the cycle there, so I'm going to try that one more time because I couldn't toggle out of the Hollow Guys quickly enough, so we're going to do that. As long as they're facing the other way, we should be okay. Alright, let's take a break here and repeat the process over again. Those lasers are not instant kills, and I'm pretty sure if you get hit by them, you will not aggro the guys, but I don't want to take any chances. So as you can see, the Robomuts, their antennas are already turning red, even though we're still wearing the Hollow Guys. This is a pretty dangerous room because it's basically the exact same thing as the last room we were in with the sentry bots everywhere, except we have the Robomuts to deal with as well. So I try to get rid of them by luring them into the lasers, but I got detected, so we're going to have to retreat a little bit here. These guys shouldn't aggro me as long as I'm still wearing the Hollow Guys, even though I'm taking damage from the next room. They won't seem to care. Alright, that's much better. Let's wait for the cycle again, then we can cross. Yeah, games with sort of tacked on stealth mechanics like this, it's sort of like playing red light, green light in a literal sense here. I actually didn't think of this game as having a stealth sequence when I first played it, until, you know, kind of retroactively realizing that this whole mechanic was meant to be a stealth mechanic, and it does work in very much the same way that sort of, you know, primitive Metal Gear games did. So we just launched him clear across the room with a Walloper here. Like I said, the Walloper is a good weapon to deal with them because they can take 3 hits, which is kind of a lot for a medium-sized enemy like that. They're definitely upping things up before the end of the game here, and I do like that. I think they're a reasonably tough enemy with a decent attack. So now we're over at the light cruiser, and this area is going to be pretty interesting because we have a swing shot area to traverse, which I guess I can go ahead and get the swing shot back on my quick select after I'm done with the Hollow Guys. Another room similar to the one we were just in before. And yeah, if they trip that alarm, there's pretty much nothing we can do except wait. I think if you get close enough to the laser, sometimes the Robomuts can come after you, but it's rare. Now this room is actually, in a way, even more challenging because, as you can see, there's one sentry guard in the middle there who I'm going to try to take out with the Devastator. I failed at it. See, he's going to be standing there no matter what, so I can't just wait for him to go walk away into one of those rooms because the guys behind him will, but he won't. So if I don't get rid of him, then all his buddies behind him are going to gang up on me. Alright, let's just finish these guys. Let's get all 3 of these sentry bots right now while we can. There we go. They couldn't even get to that alarm. Okay, there's one more guy over there. I noticed that the dispensers for the little laser things that hit you only come from the room that the alarm is triggered in. So, for instance, he triggered that alarm in the next room, and the dispensers didn't come up in the room I'm in right now. If they did, that would make things a lot more challenging. So now is the slow walk, wearing the Hollow Guys, to get to the end here, to inevitably kill this guy and go through the teleporter. I suppose you could just leave him there, but we can use the vaults, I'm sure. We still have New Game Plus to go through and all that. Alright, next we'll be moving on to Drek's flagship. And hopefully he'll be there. We can take him out.